look on the bright side, Johnny. There's a bright side after seeing this team play one of its worst defensive efforts despite a win right before the playoffs are about to get here. I guess it's the fact that they have a chance at a 100-point season when nobody considered that possible at the beginning of the season. Well, there's that, but there's also about 4 teams that will be rooting for the Preds to finish off the Pittsburgh Penguins season on Monday, not just the Preds fan base. Everybody's hands go up, way up, as the Nashville Predators defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets by a final score of 6-4 Saturday night inside Bridgestone Arena. A great first 2 periods, even though there's a few issues. Not so great a third period. But the Preds, on the back of a 4-point performance by Roman Josi, 2 goals and 2 assists, his 22nd and 23rd of a season. A 3-point performance by Tommy Novak that included his 17th and 18th goal of the season. And Philip Forsberg padding his single season record of goals in a season as a Pred, now up to 47. The Preds complete their penultimate game of the season, reach 99 points, and get one step closer to all but confirming that they'll finish in wildcard spot number 1. Alright, Preds Nation, we're not going to sugarcoat this. This was a win. They got one step closer to all but locking down wildcard spot number 1. But at the end of the day, this is not a game the players should be proud of. You know for sure this isn't a game that Bruno is going to be happy about. Still some stuff to work on. Luckily, just one more regular season game after today, and then they'll have all week until the playoff schedule comes out and next weekend gets here when the playoffs start for them to practice and be a lot better against superior teams when they played so poor against an inferior roster. And heads up right off the bat, there's only 2 goals really that I am going to recreate for this Preds fan reaction. There's only 2 goals that deserve to be recreated for this Preds fan reaction, because at the end of the day, this video is going to be about the good that came out of this and the bad that came out of this game. And there's a few things to talk about. For the roster to start, Gustav Nyquist and Ryan McDonough return to the lineup as Colton Sissons, Cole Smith, and Tyson Barrie were scratched. Oh, and hey, thankfully, UC Saros returned to play in this game. That meant with the roster reshuffling and lines getting changed around that Jared Anderson-Dolan would be played in his first game since being acquired by the Preds on waivers. Not a great start off the hop, as just over 2 minutes into the first, a period that the Blue Jackets were allowed to outshoot the Preds 15-10. Mal Atesta scored to give the Blue Jackets the early 1-0 lead. But Preds seemed to turn things around, as by 2 minutes and 15 seconds after Columbus opened the scoring, Tommy Novak and Roman Josi scored to give the Preds the lead. Under 7 minutes left to go in the first period, Tommy Novak again would get his second of the game, and okay, maybe the Preds have figured this out. Yes, it's a second half of a back-to-back after winning in Chicago Friday night. A lot more dominant win against Chicago than what ended up being the final result in this game. Preds up 3-1. Under 3 minutes left to go in the first. Former Pred Matthew Olivier, now follow the action here, takes out Jared Anderson-Dolan into the boards. Luke Schenn, who's on the ice, takes exception, comes in to defend his teammate. Him and Matthew Olivier get into a scrap. This isn't the first time those two got into a fight on Bridgestone Arena ice. The previous time, Olivier was still on the Preds and Luke Schenn was on the Lightning. But this is a different tale of the tape. Luke Schenn endears himself to his team, I am sure, by doing this. And hopefully he endeared himself to the fan base, who have been, maybe deservedly so, rough on him at some times this season. But he does do a lot of good, including here making the Preds blue line an intimidating force. Hopefully, once the playoffs get here, I would give the edge to Luke Schenn in the fight with Olivier, and they would both go off for 5 minutes each. Neither one got the instigator, and neither one should have. Under 5 seconds left to go in the first, Blue Jackets allowed to be buzzing in front of Saros' net. I would have liked if the Preds would have locked her down a little bit more defensively there, and other parts in the game. Johnny Hockey Gaudreau thinks he scored as the buzzer sounds. They go and review it. Yeah, it might have gone in and counted. If it had gone in the net, it doesn't even go in the net. Preds up 3-1 after 1. Now, all things considered, even though the game as a whole, like I've been saying, needs a lot of work, the second period was probably the Preds' best period in this game. Just short of 5 minutes into the period, the Cody Glass stands out there should be happy. I'm not going to say Cody Glass crybabies like a certain wrestler's fan base was called. Just under 5 minutes into the second period, Alexander Carrier with a shot. At first, they can't decide who it goes off. The replay shows one thing. Initially, they call it on Alexander Carrier, but upon further review, I think well past something that will happen to Carrier in the third period, do they finally recognize that, yes, it was Cody Glass's 6th goal of the season on the tip. But unfortunately, you got Alexander Texier, who's allowed to skate in on a breakaway just under 10 minutes left to go in the period and cut the Preds lead to 4-2. Then under 8 minutes left to go in the second period, Preds about to go on the power play as Alex Nylander gets called for high sticking Cody Glass coming out of a TV timeout. Assistant coach Dan Hynud is interviewed by Kara Hammer on Bally Sports about what he thinks about the game, and he correctly calls out that the Preds are playing way too loose. They're lucky to be ahead, that they could be a lot better, and I'm like yelling at my TV, thank you, coach, for saying it as it is. But as I said, there is 2 high points that I wanted to recreate for his Preds fan reaction, and this is one of them. As just about a minute after the penalty was called, Preds swarming, attacking the Blue Jackets zone, and Roman Josi gets it over to number 9, Philip Forsberg, who is standing in front of the net. Reeves, who is in net for the Blue Jackets, is out of position, and Forsberg gets a lucky bounce off of his skate. It goes in. No distinctive kicking motion called. That's his 47th of the season. I don't know if he'll go for 50. Personally, I don't think he should dress for Sunday, barring an injury, since other people on this team may not be back. We'll see what happens. But for the time being, Preds back up by 3, up 5-2. And a little bit later, Preds Nation, I'm sure a lot of you, as well as me, the last couple weeks have been trying to talk up on Twitter. Maybe a few of us have been tweeting at the talking heads on American and Canadian hockey TV. Hey, for Norris consideration, you might want to consider a guy who wears 59 on his chest and the C of the Nashville Predators franchise. But these talking heads are all on social media and on TV like, no, my vote's already decided for Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar. Well, he won't say it publicly because he's such a humble person. But maybe with what you are about to see in this Preds fan reaction, it's Roman Josi's way of leaping one Bobby Orr 1970 style into his body as under 5 minutes left to go in the second period off of a pass by Luke Evangelista. With a little bit of strength, you want to assume he didn't go in that easy. Roman Josi goes in and kind of leaps in the air after the puck goes in. His 23rd of the season. Preds lead this game 6-2. Okay, I resolved myself that he's probably not going to win the Norris, but he better finish in the top 3. Preds looking solid, up 6-2 after 40 minutes. As for the third period, to start off with, a little good news and bad news mismatched together in terms of injuries, because UC Saros had to go off and it didn't look bad. Unfortunately, Kevin Lankinen had to come in for a few possessions on the ice, but UC Saros would be okay. It was just an equipment issue with his skate. On the potential bad side, Alexander Carey gets taken into the boards, not purposely. It just looked accidental, like a hockey play by former Pred Matthew Olivier. He would have to leave. Under his own strength, it would appear, but he would not return. Hopefully, for the Preds' sake, he's not out too long. I would definitely scratch him, Bruno, Monday against Pittsburgh. Hopefully he's good to go for game 1. The Preds do have enough depth that I think they should be okay blue line wise if he was out for any length of time. But considering the fact that he is a UFA, I'd like to see him give all he can for this Preds potential playoff run, whether or not it finishes after 1 round or goes further than that. Other than that, not a great finish to this game. Preds did win it, but the period was bookended by, in the first half of the period, and in the last 30 seconds, you couldn't even just win with allowing 3 goals. No, the Preds allowed the Blue Jackets to outscore them 2-0, even though they outshot them 14-13. Fix-Wolansky got his first 2 goals of the season, nipping the Preds lead down to 6-4. They ultimately would win. They have 1 game remaining on Monday in Pittsburgh. Regular season home games are finished. They'll be back, though, obviously, in game 3 of the first round. Opponent to be determined. Now, as I said, Preds Nation, aside from hoping that Alexander Carey is okay, this game, forget about it. There's stuff they need to work on, but thank God they got the 2 points. Now, as for the standings, the Preds control their own destiny to get into wildcard spot number 1. This is how things will go over the next couple days. If the Preds win on Monday in Pittsburgh, they will finish in wildcard spot number 1. And heck, they're going to have a whole whack of teams in the Eastern Conference rooting for them to win that game as they try to lock down wildcard spot number 2 in the East, since Tampa Bay has that all but locked up. Teams that will be in our corner on Monday: the New York Islanders, the Washington Capitals, the Philadelphia Flyers, and the Detroit Red Wings. By winning that game on Monday, it would also confirm the Preds as a 100-point season. Who in their right mind thought this team was going to have the possibility on the last day of the regular season of their schedule to possibly get to 100 points? The other thing that would help confirm the Preds getting into wildcard spot number 1 would be a Vegas loss at home Sunday against Colorado. But I always believe in playing yourself in. You win that game on Monday in Pittsburgh, no matter who finishes in the 3rd spot in the Pacific or in wildcard spot number 2, LA or Vegas. No matter who falls where, the Preds will finish with a better record than both of them and will confirm their spot in that first wildcard. Now, as for playoff opponents, Dallas won the Central on Saturday, meaning that they'll most likely face wildcard spot number 2. And Vancouver and Edmonton are playing at this very moment. Vancouver has a 2-1 lead at the second intermission. If Vancouver wins this game, it doesn't confirm them as winners of the Pacific, but does with a very steep mountain to climb with such few games left for Edmonton to try and overtake them. So it's looking more and more likely that the Preds' first round opponent will mean a rematch of the 2011 second round between Vancouver and Nashville, meaning that the town I live in, the majority of people who are hockey fans will be rooting against me. What fun is on the horizon? So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on a channel name and interacting with me during every Preds game. Tell all your friends about Redemption. 1 more regular season game left for the Nashville Predators, and then it's time for Preds playoff hockey.